Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Chris Whiteman and thanks for joining me here for another jazz guitar lesson. Today I want to share with you a three-step approach to playing the changes on a 2-5-1. And this is an approach that can be used for any harmonic progressions really. We're going to look at the 2-5-1 in C, so it's going to be D minor 7, G7, and C major. So when we talk about playing the changes, what we're talking about is accurately representing the harmony with single note lines. So if we play a group of notes unaccompanied, we want to hear the harmonic motion in that line. And the first step in doing that is really being familiar with the harmony. So knowing the harmony, on a theoretical level, but also seeing the harmony on the fretboard. And for me, the guitar is a very visual instrument, and I organize my harmony, with shapes, chord forms. I see geometric, patterns. So the first thing I'm going to do is what I call harmonic mapping. So we have 2-5-1 in C, D minor, G7, C major 7. I want to see some chord voicings there. I'm going to start really basic with shell voicings. So for D minor 7, I'm going to play D minor 7 shell voicing. We have D, F, and C. And if you don't know the meaning of a shell voicing is a three-note voicing that has the root, the third, and the seventh. So we've omitted the fifth. It's a tone that we don't really need, and we need the root, and we need the third and the seventh to really define the quality of the harmony. So it gives us those three notes give us everything we need. So D minor 7 is the first shape I'm going to see, and then G7, and G, F, and B. I'm skipping the fifth string, so that's my root, my flat 7, and my third. And then C major 7. I have C, E, and B, my root, my major third, and my major 7. So if this is new for you, it's just spending some time just seeing how that moves, what it looks like. And then once you have that down, I'm going to build out or frame this harmony out with arpeggios, right? So an arpeggio, the translation is broken chord. So for me, I think of arpeggios and chords as equivalents. They both express the harmony. So this D minor shell voicing, if I run the arpeggio, I'm going to run D, F, A. That's my fifth. That's the note that was missing from the chord voicing. Now it's showing up in the arpeggio. So D, F, A, C, right? Root, flat third, fifth, flat 7. And I'll move into the next octave. So we're going to repeat D, F, and A. I can call it the C here. For now, we're just going to stop on the A so we don't have to shift. And then G7, I'm going to run the arpeggio. G, B, D, F, G, B, D, F. All right, so that's my root, my third, my fifth, my flat 7, root, third, fifth, flat 7. And then we're going to finish on C major 7, and the arpeggio is going to be C, E, G, B. We'll move into the next octave. C, E, G. I want to grab the 7th and go up here on the 7th fret. That's the root, third, fifth, major 7, root, third, fifth, major 7. So I would spend some time seeing the relationship between the chord voicing and the arpeggio. Okay, so now that we have the shell voicing, which I'm calling the harmonic mapping, and we just happen to be using a shell voicing, harmonic mapping can be done with any style of voicing. We have the arpeggio. Now step 3, we are going to connect the arpeggios with voice leading. And we're going to do this in a very traditional way. So I'm going to run up my D minor 7 arpeggio. Right, I'm going to stop on my flat 7 there. And I'm thinking of this progression as 2 beats per chord. So D minor 7, 1, 2, G7, 2 beats, and then we resolve to C. Maybe we play 4 beats on C, right? So that means we're gonna, if we play eighth notes, we're gonna end up with 4 eighth notes on the D minor 7 and 4 eighth notes on the G7. So if I run this D minor 7 arpeggio, I'm done. I've run out of time. I've used my 4 eighth notes, and at this point, I want to connect it to the G7 harmony. So this 7th of D minor is going to change. We're going to change directions and move down a half step, right? And the fact that we're changing directions there, it's accentuating this voice leading, right? That alone is enough to give the listener the sense that something shifted, right? I've made the change into G7 at this point. Now, I'm on my 3rd. I want to come, at this point, I'm going to keep coming down. So I went up, I've changed directions. You know, we could do anything really, but I'm going to keep coming down. So I'm going to come down the arpeggio. So if I'm on the 3rd and I move down, the next tone I'm going to get is the root. And then I'm going to get the flat 7. Then I'm going to get the 5th. So those are my 4 pitches. All right, 4 pitches of the G7 arpeggio. And then I'm a whole step above C. And so here I'm just going to move down a whole step and resolve. And then I'm going to run up the C major 7 arpeggio and outline that chord. So we have 3 arpeggios and the beginning of a sense of a line. Kind of sounds like an exercise still, you know, it's not too creative. So let's look at some other options. I'm going to start the phrase the same. We're going to run up the D minor 7. And then I'm going to play into the 3rd, right? So at this point, instead of coming down the arpeggio, I'm going to come down the scale. So I got my 3rd. I'm going to go down to the 2nd or the 9th of G, right? Come to the root, come down 1 more scale degree, and I'm at my flat 7. And this is great because this is the last 8th note on G7. I'm out of time. I have to move to C. It's perfect because this flat 7 now is just going to move down a half step, and that's the 3rd of C major. So we get nice voice leading. So we have the 7th of the D minor 7 resolving to the 3rd of the G7. And then we have the flat 7 of the G7 resolving to the 3rd of the C major 7. We put it together, we get this. And then if I want to arpeggiate the C major 7, since I'm on the 3rd, I'm going to just move up to the 5th, to the major 7th, and then I'm going to add the 9th on top. Nice color tone, right? So if I add that on the end of that phrase, we get this. If I want to harmonize that last note. here I'm playing a C6-9, C, E, A, and D. I could play a C major 9, C, E, B, and D. Either one works. All right, so it's starting to sound a little more musical. One thing that we don't have that is quite common is added tension on the dominant chord. So on the G7, we have an opportunity here to increase the level of tension because we're about to have a cadence at the end where we have this dominant resolving to a tonic. So on the dominant, we have the ability to increase the level of tension by adding alterations. And we're going to add the flat 9 to our line, and I'll show you what that's going to sound like. So we're going to move up the D minor 7, resolve into the 3rd of G, but instead of going to the natural 9, I'm going to come to the flat 9, which is A flat, and I'm going to finger it here on the 6th fret, 4th string. So we get this. And then come down the scale. That's the root of G to the flat 7, resolving into the 3rd of C, and then I can come up that arpeggio. So with the flat 9, it sounds like this. And if we wanted to make it a little bit more interesting, we could front load this arpeggio. I have a video on that concept. That is basically starting your phrase before the downbeat. And what I'm going to do is I'll start at an 8th note early, and instead of starting on D, I'm going to start on the leading tone. I'm starting C sharp, and it's a chromatic motion into the root. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And a little faster, that sounds like this. Okay, so now we have a line that's starting to sound pretty jazzy. I'm going to share with you another concept. What I'm going to do is I'm going to displace the octave with part of this line. So this flat 9 and resolving into the 3rd of C, I'm going to displace that. I'm going to push it up an octave. So I'm going to play the same 4 notes. All right, that's A flat, G, F, E, A flat, G, F, E. And I'm going to connect it with the beginning of my original phrase. So I played into the 3rd of my G7. Then now I'm displacing the octave. I'm going to jump up to the A flat, to the G, F, E, and so it sounds like this. Now I can add some material on that C major to make it a little more melodic. There I'm ending on the 9 again. All right, so just to recap what we've done so far, we started with harmonic mapping with the shell voicings, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. We then came back and we arpeggiated those harmonies. We came back and we arpeggiated those harmonies. Then we used voice leading to connect arpeggios. Then we used a combination of arpeggiation and scalar movement. And then we added the alteration of the flat 9 on the G7. And finally, we displaced the octave on the G7. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you found this information useful. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you'd like to be notified of future content I upload, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There is a PDF of this lesson for my Patreon subscribers on my Patreon page. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.